Well, one obstacle a lot of people face in their 60s is being laid off from work or being forced into an early retirement before you're prepared to actually step into retirement. So, is it a good idea to get a job? What if you don't want to get a job? We'll talk through the different scenarios, how to come to that answer with John Stillman coming up now. Welcome in. Glad to have you on the channel. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. What are you waiting for? We're glad to have you here. We got a good question again, John. I know scenario a lot of people work through, so I want to work through with you here today. Kind of get some insight on how you treat this with your clients at Rosewood and some of the things you're thinking about for someone that gets laid off of work unexpectedly. So here's the scenario for today's video. I'm 61, just got laid off from my job where I've had it for 17 years. I'm not very motivated to get another job for a couple of years, and I'm not even sure who would hire me at this age, which is, as we know, a common issue for people that age. But I'm also not sure I have enough money saved to last the rest of my life, especially since I can't start drawing Social Security yet. So, am I being foolish and lazy by not trying to find a job right now?
So, I'm going to address this question with the specifics of what was sent in there. So, okay, the age 61 and all that. But if you're not 61 and in this same boat, I don't want you to ignore the conversation, because what I really want you to take away from it is the principles and the concepts. But I'm just going to do that under the umbrella of this particular question. So at age 61, you have a couple of things going for you. One, you're beyond 59 and a half, which means you can withdraw from your IRAs, your 401ks, any retirement accounts. You can withdraw with no penalty, still taxed as income, just not an additional 10% early withdrawal penalty. You're not that far from being able to start Social Security at 62. Now, that doesn't mean that you should start Social Security at 62, but at least we have that as an option. The biggest challenge you have at 61 is you're still 4 years away from Medicare age. So if you're not going to get another job that has health insurance coverage, we have to figure out what you're going to do for health insurance until you get to Medicare age. Can you afford to just go buy it on your own? Do you have a spouse that can pick you up on their plan? A lot of different options, but we need to figure that part out. And quite honestly, for somebody at 61, that's going to be the hardest part of their equation, is what do we do for health insurance until Medicare kicks in? Now, once we've figured that out, then it's a question of, well, where do you really stand in terms of your potential retirement income? Maybe you had planned to work until 65 or 66 or 67, but maybe there was no actual planning behind that. Maybe you just felt like that's what you're supposed to do. And then when we really stop and look at the numbers, we might see, actually, you know what? You're fine to retire now. Maybe you're not going to have the beach house and the mountain house in addition to your primary home. But if you wanted to retire now, it wouldn't be unreasonable for you to do that. Now, if you're still a little uneasy with that, but you say, look, I was making $120,000 a year. I just don't know where I can go out in a completely new company and make that kind of money with the skill set that I have at my current age. Well, here's the thing. It's not necessarily an all or nothing issue. So it could be that, yes, your numbers dictate you're not quite ready to completely retire. But that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to go out and make as much as you were making before. So maybe we see, all right, you're not ready to start pulling money out of the pot yet. We don't have enough saved for retirement that you can retire at 61 and just start pulling income from it now. But it's possible that you're in a situation where we don't need you to add anything more to the pot. We just need you to not pull anything out just yet. So maybe instead of making $120,000, you could go somewhere and make $50,000 less than that. You could find a job making $70,000. You're not even putting anything in the 401k at the new company, but that might be okay. Maybe all we need to do is have paychecks for a couple of years, or maybe it's solely for the health insurance. Maybe you just need to go work and make something and have health insurance coverage to get you to Medicare age. So don't put all this pressure on yourself that you have to go out now in your early 60s and find a job that's comparable to what you had. Maybe you can find a job that just doesn't pay as much. Maybe you only need to work part-time, or maybe you don't need to work at all. So we can get creative in these situations. Oh, and by the way, you might have gotten a severance with that layoff or that forced retirement. If you've been at the company a long time, I've seen situations where that severance could be 6 months. It could be 12 months of pay. And they're going to let you stay on their health insurance for that period. So that could solve a big portion of our problem right there. It's a shot to your ego. It hurts emotionally when you get laid off or forced to retire. But when we step back and look objectively at the math, we might find that it's not as bad as you thought.
This is one of those situations, John, to me, it just seems like you want to know the answer, right? That's not a time of life. You just want to kind of be hanging out in limbo and wondering, maybe I do, maybe I don't need to get a job. You want to know one way or the other, right? Okay, I do need to. Okay, I can change my mindset. I got 2 years, 3 years, 1 year, whatever it is. Or I don't have to worry about it at all. I'm actually in good shape. Don't worry. Just enjoy this time now.
Well, and a lot of it is once you find out the answer to the question, do I need to go back to work or not? You'll feel a lot better. It's kind of like you have this relationship and for 6 months, you're petrified that this girl is going to break up with you. And every time she calls, it's like, oh, is this it? Is she about to break up with me? And you live in this limbo for 6 months. And then one day she breaks up with you and suddenly you feel a lot better because it's over. You're not worried about it anymore. You know the answer. She broke up with you and now you can move on, which for some people is not as bad as wondering if she's going to break up with me. Well, same thing in this situation. If you sit around and worry and wonder, do I need to go back to work or not? What do I need to do? Just find out the answer. And even if it's quote unquote bad news, like, hey, yeah, we do need you to get a job of some kind. Well, at least you know. And at least you can move forward with some knowledge instead of sitting around wondering, oh, I hope I'm going to be okay. No, just get the answer and let's figure out how to move forward from there.
Yeah, it also seems like, may not be motivated now, but learning that, okay, you need 2 or 3 years of work or else you're going to have a big gap, it could motivate you to get up and do what you need to do. So also, it's another good reason why you want to find out. But again, start with meeting with someone. Again, John can help you with this and a lot of other questions you might have with your financial planning, with your retirement. Are you in a good position or not? Go to meetwithjohn.com. You can schedule a time on his calendar to meet with him. And of course, he is a chartered retirement planning counselor. We got plenty more videos coming, a lot more on the YouTube channel. Please check those out. If you have any questions, send them our way. We'll try to feature one on a future video potentially, or maybe we'll pull them out of the comments and try to answer them directly that way as well. Either way, we appreciate you watching. Please hit subscribe. John, thanks for your time as always.
Absolutely. Have a good one.
Carolina Wealth Stewards doing business as Rosewood Wealth Management is a registered investment advisor in the state of North Carolina. The material presented is intended to be general information and should not be construed by any consumer as the rendering of personalized investment advice.